Hello people, and welcome to Crypto Exposed. Okay guys, got a post here for you that I thought I'd share because I thought this was really good, and I have to give props to Noaty for this because, you know, I think this is a really good thing for the community, and I think we should actually do more of this going forward, to be honest with you, because to me, what this does is, especially when it comes to some of these influencers who push these, you know, outlandish numbers, it helps you to see what they're really made of. Like, can they really back up their talk? Can they really back up their points in an argument? And I've said this numerous times because, you know, there's a lot of people who push this type of content. But when it comes to actually like challenging them, you know, they'll block you and things like that. Like they won't discuss it or anything. And to me, that's because they've, you know, not got enough evidence or substance to back up their points. And so, you know, Noaty has gone out of his way to get Vandell, one half of Black Swan Capitalist here, to have a debate with him and Ray Meadows, who is the crypto bellwether. To be honest with you, it was really more crypto bellwether and Vandell than Noaty. Noaty was kind of a bit more just on the sidelines, coming in here and there. I don't know if that's because he didn't feel like he had enough to bring to the argument, or if he just wanted to learn, because he has said that before, like he's here to learn. And I respect that because, you know, I've said this with my videos, like, if you can prove me wrong, then prove me wrong. Like, I'm not here to act like, you know, I'm the know-all everything. You know, if people can bring information to me that would make me change my mind, then fair enough. But when it comes to this, like, $10,000 stuff, nothing so far. No one has been able to bring any points to my arguments that would make me change my mind. Every time they bring a point to me, I've been able to debunk it. And that's just the way it's gone. And then eventually it just becomes silence. You know, I'll respond to comments. And then, you know, once I say, well, this, and this to your argument, what's your counter argument? Silence, you know? And so this is good for me to see because, you know, as I say, like, I like people who talk about this kind of stuff. What's going to be your arguments? What's going to be your discussion points and stuff here, right? So look, before I even get into this, I'll just be honest with you. If we're talking about like the $10,000 argument, Vandell didn't really provide anything to give me any kind of new information that would make me change my mind. I'll be honest with you. Vandell wasn't, you know, he was in the discussion, but like he didn't really provide anything that would make me say, oh yeah, like never really thought about that. Like, yeah, this is a possibility. It was very much more just like, oh, well, you know, the business could be under NDAs. The managers could be under NDAs. You never know. Like, it's standard business practice when, you know, there's like disruptive technology and things like that. That's going to be of like a big magnitude that they won't really tell you everything that's going on, and sometimes they might even be deceptive to try and throw you off, which, like, that's not really a solid argument, right? Because it doesn't really prove anything one way or the other. Like, okay, let's just say that is true. Let's just go along with that hypothetical that is true. It doesn't mean that that's what's actually happening, right? Because it could be that nothing's happening. So how do you even prove that that's definitely meaning that XRP is going to be utilized by every bank and that, you know, they're going to flip the switch in one day and all banks will just be using XRP? You've not provided any substance to that, right? So just saying these kind of what ifs is to me, you know, it's just a poor argument. I've just got to be honest with you. But, even when it comes to the crypto bellwether, like, I'll be honest with you, I've watched one of his videos recently because it was Noaty who kind of put me onto him, so I wanted to see his content as well, because again, I like to hear different thoughts and opinions to see, you know, if I agree with them. And the video that I watched of him, I actually, you know, I'm going to be honest, I actually thought it was pretty good. I actually liked it, and he's not really, you know, pro XRP. But again, I'm not here to just listen to what I want to hear. I want to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly, because I can make an informed decision then, right? Like, it's like when people say, XRP going to $10,000, I'll still listen to them because I'll say, okay, can I debunk what they are saying? You know, like, can I poke holes in their argument, in their beliefs? Same way with this guy. And I'll be honest with you, there's some stuff that he says in this argument, in this debate, I was a bit like, that's a bit extreme. Like some of the stuff he was saying about XRP, I was a bit like, okay, that's a bit extreme. So even with crypto bellwether, while I do agree with some of the points that he's making in this debate, I think he came with a lot more factual information. But some of the things that he was saying, I was like, okay, that's a bit much. So I've got a few just bullet points of this because it was like an hour long. So I'm not going to like go through the whole thing, but I'm just going to tell you some of the highlights of the debate, and then I'll just give you like my overall analysis. So the first thing that obviously Crypto Bellwether gets into is just about the hype content, you know, people posting false narratives, which, you know, guys, from the beginning of my channel, this is why I started it. I've been trying to fight against that. You know, that's what I'm all about, right? So I completely agree, and I think this is why we're in the situation we are with XRP, because you've just got so many false narratives out there that it's just become riddled with misinformation, and that's the problem. And you've got the people who strongly believe this stuff, and you've got the people who don't believe this stuff, and so it causes a very big divide within the community. So I completely agree with that. You know, Vandell didn't really, you know, give much to that. He did agree that there are people out there pushing misinformation. Obviously he's not making out like he's one of them, but you know, he agreed that there is a lot of misinformation out there. I think we can all agree with that, to be honest with you. It's quite clear at this point that there are a lot of people pushing out misinformation, so not much to argue on that. Ray said he doesn't think that Ray's Crypto Bellwether, by the way. Ray said that he doesn't think that XRP will hit a new all-time high. That's where I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold on. While I definitely agree with some of the points that he was making, him thinking that XRP won't hit a new all-time high, I was just like, oh, okay, like, I have to disagree there. Like, okay, I'm getting to a point now where I'm a bit like, oh, okay, you're going a bit more to the extreme now of the other side, right? Like, way too negative here at this point. So I disagree with that. Now, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm trying not to give too much arguments here as to for and against. The reason being is because I've actually messaged Noaty to see if he's up for a debate, because I'm actually willing to get into a debate myself. Because I'll be honest with you, I do think while Noaty and Crypto Bellwether do give good points, I actually do think they give valid criticism. So I'm not, you know, arguing against everything. I think they've turned overly negative, and I think it's to the complete polar opposite, right? It's like you've got these people who believe in like $10,000, and then you've got these people who just think like XRP is just finished. And to me, it's like it's usually somewhere in between, right? Like I don't think it's like one extreme to the next. It's, you know, there's like a grey area. And so I've actually messaged Noaty to see if he'd be willing to debate me. Now, I'll be honest with you, I'm a very small channel, so whether he will even, you know, acknowledge me, I don't know. You know, I think it's a shame in that regard, though, because a lot of people will look at this from like a business prospect. They'll look at it more as like, well, you haven't got that many followers, so you're probably not going to bring that many views to the table, so is it really worth it? And they're not going by what actual knowledge can be brought to the debate. So I hope he does acknowledge it, because I'm up for the debate. As I've said to you numerous times, I'm always here, I'm down for the debate. But whether he will acknowledge me, I don't know. If you guys want to, you know, message him to let him know that I'm up for it, obviously feel free. He's on Twitter or X. Feel free to give him a message or whatever, but we'll see. I'd like to do it though, because I do think I've got some, you know, points that I can bring to the table here. So yeah, he said he doesn't think he's going to hit a new all-time high. To me, I just think that's really extreme. I don't think that's accurate in my opinion. Now look, we don't know for sure. No one knows. And I've said to you before, like if we do have this bull run and XRP doesn't hit a new all-time high, or if the all-time high isn't that great, I will 100% have the conversation, because as I said to you guys, I'm here to be real. Like I'm not here to like push fantasy stuff. We will see. But to me, the likelihood of XRP not hitting a new all-time high, it's silly. And I'll just give one reason. I'll just give one simple reason before I get too deep into it. Just market psychology. Market psychology. I won't get much more deeper than that, because as I say, if we have the debate, then I can expand on it. But simply put, market psychology alone would make me think that XRP will hit a new all-time high. That factor alone would make me think that's going to happen. So I don't agree with that personally. Then he said Ripple doesn't care about retail, which Vandell agreed with. I agree with that. I'll be honest with you. Like Ripple, you've got to understand this. Ripple are not here for us. That's just the honest truth about it, right? Like Ripple don't really care about us, so to speak. Do you know what I mean? Like they're here as a company to grow their business. That's what it comes down to. So make no mistake, when it's all said and done, they're going to do what's best for the company, not what's best for us, right? They don't have our best interests at heart. They have the company's best interests at heart. So I do agree with that. And that's one of the reasons why Noaty has said he's got so bearish on XRP now, why he's not so much of a fan, which fair enough. Like, I can understand that point. However, this is all I'll say. Again, I'm trying to be vague here because I want to bring these points to the debate, but even if Ripple's best interest is for the company, it's in Ripple's best interest to make XRP valuable. So they're still going to be acting in the best interest of trying to gain value to XRP, right? So even if that's the case, it doesn't necessarily mean that, like, oh, they're just gonna, you know, do anything to screw us over or anything like that. Like, you know, I don't think that necessarily means, you know, that they're gonna just, you know what I mean? Like, like, they're still going to be pushing for XRP to be valuable because that's what's going to be better for their company. It's going to be in the best interest of their company. So even in that regard, even though I do agree with that point, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be entirely a bad thing, because we're still holding XRP and they're going to want to make XRP more valuable. So, you know, I still think from that regard, it's still, you know, it's still not all bad. Okay. Yeah, so then crypto bellwether Ray was saying he thinks XRP is a bad investment, but he thinks Ripple is a really great company. So again, like, for me, look, okay, I'll put it this way. If people was looking at XRP at the moment in terms of, you know, how it's been performing, I can understand why people would feel that way. Let's just be honest. Like, if you look over, I think it's been like 6-7 years since XRP has been, like, you know, performing well and whatnot. So I can understand from that perspective. We've just got to be honest. I can understand why people might feel that way. But let's just be reasonable here. In the last bull run, XRP did still have a rally, although it didn't obviously hit a new all-time high. We just have to acknowledge that, you know, that they were in the middle of a lawsuit. Like, we have to accept that. You know, I think that's reasonable. And that's why I say, after this bull run, if nothing happens, that's when I have questions. I think it's fair to say in the last bull run, there was a lawsuit going on, so we can understand, like, why, you know, there wasn't an opportunity to go past the new all-time high. I think that's reasonable to say. Now, Ray did try and make a counter argument to this, but to be honest with you, again, I don't agree with it. He was saying that if that's the case, if it's because of regulatory uncertainty, why would they go into any crypto? Because all cryptos, you know, except Bitcoin, don't have regulatory clarity. But there's a different side to actually having a lawsuit against a company or a crypto and just being in a situation where it could have a lawsuit in the future, right? Like, there's so many cryptos out there. You got to think about it like, well, there's like 20,000 plus cryptos. So even if you do get into one crypto, you roll in the dice as to whether yours is going to get picked next. You don't know. So there's a very big difference between a crypto not having any kind of regulatory certainty and one actually going through an actual lawsuit where they could lose the lawsuit and an XRP is done. Like, it will be in a very big problem there. So to me, that was a really weak argument, if I'll be honest with you. I really didn't agree with that. But in terms of him saying, like, Ripple's a great company, yeah, look, this is the thing. Like, Ripple and XRP, while they are connected, Ripple can do things for themselves that doesn't necessarily have to correlate to XRP. And I've said this before. Like, for example, if you use RippleNet is it's their messaging standard, like their messaging service, sorry, but you don't necessarily have to use XRP to make a payment, right? So you could use a fiat currency or a different cryptocurrency. You don't have to necessarily utilize XRP via RippleNet. So that's something where they could have people using RippleNet software, which benefits Ripple, but they're not utilizing XRP necessarily. So I do understand where it's coming from there, and that's a valid point. But as I said earlier, it's in Ripple's best interest to bring up the value of XRP because they hold so much of it. So they're going to want to try and make XRP successful. That would only make sense. So, you know, if you believe in Ripple as a company, you should really believe that they're going to try their absolute best to try and make XRP valuable because that's what's going to be in the best interest of the company. Then we've got here, Ray making a point here. And again, I can't argue against this. He said, look, he's not saying he agrees with it, but he's saying the government will pick winners and losers. And so if we're picking XRP, we're ultimately going against the government, right? Because, you know, the SEC sued Ripple. I can't disagree with that. That's one thing that I will say, like, it does scare me a little bit. Like, it does. It really does. Because if the SEC now, like, you know, we're at a point where they could appeal, right? They could just keep doing as much as they can to try and stop, you know, Ripple and XRP as much as possible. Like, for example, let's say they want to go for an ETF. What if the SEC just keep declining the ETF? You know, don't get me wrong, it could be that they have to go to a lawsuit and then eventually, you know, the SEC lose the lawsuit, so they kind of force their hand to have to eventually approve it. But it's like the lawsuit, the damage is done. Like, if let's just say someone wanted to make an ETF next year for XRP, right? Well, if SEC keep declining it, that could affect it getting value from earlier on, right? Like, we've seen what the ETF did for Bitcoin, right? Helped the price massively. So it's one of those things where even if it's a thing of like them making it like, say, 2-3 years before they can get an ETF, well, that's value missing from XRP. Same with this lawsuit. Like, they lost, you know, deals, partnerships and things like that through the lawsuit, right? Companies didn't want to get involved with XRP. People couldn't even trade XRP in America. Like, so there was huge implications. So while, you know, they've got through it in the end, the damage is done, right? The damage is done. It's like 3 years worth of damage to XRP. So in that sense, that is a very fair point. And that's one that I'll be honest with you, like, that's one that does scare me. Like, I'll just be honest with you, because yeah, like, the SEC might have it out for Ripple and XRP now. They might just be, especially as you know, they've been so embarrassed from the lawsuit, they might just have it out for them and try and knock them down at every turn. So I thought that was a very valid point, to be honest with you. So yeah, I'll be honest with you, when it comes to like Vandell with a lot of this stuff, like, he didn't really provide much pushback on a lot of the stuff that Ray was saying. So I'm like, well, it almost sounds like you're just agreeing with Ray. Like, his whole thing with Vandell was more like, Vandell's thing was more just, you just never know. Like, you know, there's all these things going on behind the scenes that we're not aware of. There's NDAs and stuff like that. We don't know what's going on, so this could happen. And to me, that's just not a strong enough argument. Like, you know, it's just like saying, hey, you know, we could invent time travel tomorrow. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Well, yeah, maybe we could, but maybe we couldn't, like, right? Maybe like time travel's still something that's, you know, not even possible ever, or it's many, many years from being created. Like, we can all say what ifs. It's just not strong enough to try and prove like some of these theories of XRP just rocketing in price, right? The final thing I will say, and this is something that I do agree with on Vandell, is like he said, look, one thing I'll say, because Ray was talking about like, you know, time frame, right? So Ray saying like, look, like, you know, I'm making money now, like, I'm making money right now, blah, blah, blah. You know, like, why am I going to be waiting however long for XRP to move, kind of thing? And Vandell said, look, like, if you think about like companies like Apple, Amazon, you know, these kind of companies, they never took off overnight. There were ones that you held for many, many years, and then eventually, you know, they had their real time to shine, and obviously they, you know, become huge powerhouses. And in that regard, I do agree. Like, and the problem with, I'll say with that is, okay, if we're talking about price, one, how much are you talking then? But then also, how long are you talking? Because this is the thing, when a lot of people talk about this stuff, they keep talking about like 2025, flip the switch, stuff like that, right? And I think a lot of the audience who you watch these videos, they're thinking a lot more short term. They're not thinking, you know, 10, 20 years. So this is the problem. Now, if people are realistic and say, hey, look, yeah, in 10, 20 years, Ripple and XRP could be ridiculously higher priced. Well, yeah, I would agree with that. I think XRP in 10, 20 years will be way higher. But do people really want to wait 10 to 20 years? That's the problem, right? Because a lot of people who are watching this content, who are getting like, you know, lapping up the $10,000 and stuff, they think this is coming like next year. They do. So if you're going to say that kind of stuff, then okay, fair enough. Like, if you can give people that kind of time frame of saying, hey, look, you're going to need to be waiting like another 10, 15, 20 years possibly for these, you know, the real kind of price action. All right, cool, fair enough. You know, you've been as clear as you can be about that. But if you're not being clear and saying, well, it could take off any day now, this is where it's like you're leading people on, right? Dangling the carrot on a string. And people keep chasing it because they're thinking it's coming tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. Like, that's the problem. And that's where the influencers are misleading people, because they keep putting that in front of them and the people are thinking it's going to happen soon, when realistically, some of this stuff, if it's even going to happen, could be many, many years from now. Decades, maybe, you know? So that's where I think the problem is. So overall, as I say, like, to me, Vandell didn't really provide anything to say, you know, XRP is going to these crazy numbers. I'll just be honest with you. I think Ray Crypto Bellwether made some really great points. Noaty only came in here and there, so there's not really much he, like, you know, contributed to the debate, if I just be honest with you. But I've heard his kind of content before, so, you know, like, fair enough. I know his general overview. But yeah, I think it's good. Like, as I say, for me, this is the kind of stuff I'd like with other big influencers. But I'll be honest with you, I think many will turn this down, because I do think many can't back up the points that they make. I'll just be honest with you. I think in the heat of the moment, when you've got someone who can be there to challenge your thoughts and give you counter arguments, I think a lot of people will fall short. And I don't think they want to be in that position, because it's going to affect their money. Because obviously, if they get shown up, it's gonna expose them. So I don't think there will be many influencers who will do this. I'm willing to do it because I feel like I can back up my points, and my points are more realistic. I'm not a hype content poster anyway, so I think my stuff is a lot more grounded in reality. But we'll see. As I say, I'd love to join in on the debate, just in regards to like them saying XRP is not going to hit a new all-time high and stuff like that. Like, there's things that I think I can provide to kind of not say it's a guarantee, but to say why I think it's more likely that XRP will hit a new all-time high more than it wouldn't, and just other points that I think are being, you know, missed here. So we'll see. But, you know, if you guys are interested in me having a debate, obviously, as I say, shout out to Noaty, you know, give him a message or whatever and let him know. But as I say, I'm such a small channel. I don't think they're gonna have me on. I'll just be honest with you, because I'm just so small. You know, like, I'm a tiny channel, and I don't think it's likely. But we'll see. But yeah, overall, a good debate. As I say, if you guys want to check it out, feel free to. It's an hour. I thought it was good. At one point, they started talking into like gold and stuff like that, which obviously I'm not there for the gold conversation. I'm there for the XRP. That's the main thing. But if you want to hear about it as well, some people might, you know, want to invest in gold and stuff like that. There's some points made in that as well. But yeah, overall, a good debate, and I hope they continue to do this. So, you know, big shout out to Noaty for this. I think it's good that you're doing this kind of stuff. I hope you continue to do it, because I think it's informative for the community. Thank you very much for watching this. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Take care.